AITAH for excluding my brother and his fiancé from my big day? I got engaged around February of this year, and my fiancé and I decided that we should do our wedding the following February. For context, he is from Europe, and I am from South Africa, so we decided to have our wedding in Cape Town, where we both reside, to make it easier for my family to travel as they are not wealthy. Invites sent out to everyone, accommodation and flights booked, as we gave everyone a 1-year notice. My brother and his fiancée have been together for well over a decade. They had no plans to marry, and always told us they are focused on buying a house and prioritizing finishing their studies. We didn't think much of it and accepted that everyone does things at their own pace. Fast forward to September, I get a message from him saying that they want to do their wedding 2 weeks before mine. My fiancé and I were devastated, given that we spent a fortune on our 5-day wedding, which they are well aware of, and puts a strain on our family, who do not have capacity to pay for accommodation and flights, and taking leave from work to travel to another wedding 2 weeks apart. I calmly told him that I do not think it's appropriate given the situation. However, he laughed at me and said he's going ahead with it anyway. Fast forward a week later, my parents flat out said they would not support his decision, and this made him cancel his plan. However, I am still so hurt for the fact that he would be inconsiderate to his own sister. I have removed them both out of my wedding, as his fiancée was meant to be one of my bridesmaids, and he was meant to have a significant role as my sibling, but I would rather them just attend and not participate. I feel really guilty and conflicted about this, as family will eventually guilt me into including them. AITAH? They've been engaged for years and together over a decade. Plenty of time to get married or plan a date that wasn't up your date's ass. That was an intentional and hurtful decision to spite you for whatever the fuck reason. Honestly, I would be reconsidering even letting them come at all. They already literally tried to usurp your wedding. God knows what they'll actually do at it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, keep them away. Don't let anyone force you to include them after what they did. Not the asshole, glad to see that your parents supported you in having them cancel their plans. Usually in these stories the parents say suck it up. I wouldn't want them in my wedding either. You're being gracious for still inviting them at all. So strange. Why suddenly the rush to get married? South African here. A wedding taking up a whole few days is quite common here. Our country spent $7 billion on alcohol in a very short period. We are just built different. Not the asshole. I read all the comments. He caved, but only under extreme external pressure, and not due to accommodating your wish for your wedding to not be ruined. Since they are given to sabotage, they should be demoted to mere guests who can do less damage. That might piss them off to back out, and that would work out very nicely. If there is reliable reason to believe they are likely to wreck the event even as guests, then the nuclear option, typically the last resort, is on the table. Am I the asshole for refusing to cover my friend's shift because of prior commitments? I, 27M, work part-time at a cafe with my friend Jake, 28M. We usually cover shifts for each other occasionally, no problem. Last Friday night, Jake texted me around 9 p.m. asking if I could cover his Saturday morning shift because he has something important to take care of. Normally I'm fine helping, but this time I had already committed to a private tutoring session with a student I've been working with for months. It's a high-paying session that I can't reschedule without losing both money and credibility, and I also promised the student in advance that I'd be there. On top of that, I had made plans later that morning to meet my sister, which I had coordinated weeks ago and can't just cancel. I told Jake all of this, explaining that I literally couldn't cover the shift without breaking prior commitments. He got upset and said, "Come on, I've covered your shifts plenty of times. Can't you just do this one for me?" I explained again that this wasn't just a casual, I don't feel like it situation. It's a matter of honoring prior commitments that are important professionally and personally. He responded that I'm being selfish and not a reliable friend. I feel like I'm in the right because I can't just drop important obligations at the last minute, but I also understand why he's frustrated. On one hand, he's counting on me. On the other, I literally can't. We haven't spoken much since. So Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to cover my friend's shift given these prior commitments, even though he really needed my help? Not the asshole. Covering each other's shifts is subject to availability. End of story. Never set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Not the asshole, and for the future, you don't owe him an explanation why you can't take over. Just say no. And Jake's something important. can't be important if he remembers it just a couple of hours before the shift starts. My best guess? He was on a drinking binge and knew he would be hangover. Sobering was his important thing to do. Not the asshole you are working your other job. You are right to honor your previous commitments. Not the asshole. Also, he isn't a real friend. Not the asshole. Unless there are workplace scheduling that mandates your availability to cover, covering is a best effort system. Asking you to cover less than 12 hours prior to the shift is quite unreasonable, unless it's an emergency. Being unreliable, might it be if you back out from a shift you promised to cover? Not the case, so doesn't apply. Selfish doesn't apply either, since you got a prior professional commitment, and are not just feeling lazy. Not the asshole, I'd text him. If I was the kind of friend you want me to be, I'd have agreed then not shown up because I decided to do something new instead. Unless you think honoring prior commitments only applies to you. I think it applies to my sister, student, and you. You don't rate higher. If you don't apologize and not ever do this again, our friendship is done. Am I the asshole for telling my friend his invention doesn't count? My friend and I like to go out for sushi. On more than one occasion, he claimed to have invented a new sushi roll. What does he mean when he says he invented it? He came up with a list of ingredients he likes and told a chef to make it for him. Was he just joking around? No, he definitely spoke like he was proud of himself for inventing it, that he even gave this sushi roll a name, Fisherman's Delight. I told him, you can call it an invention if you want, but that would make anyone who has ever made a custom order using a Taco Bell app just as much of an inventor. That made him upset, and he thinks everyone will clearly see that I am the aholi. The guy is almost 40. I would expect a 12-year-old to say this, and his parents would be like, sure buddy, congratulations on your invention. Created a new sushi roll would be the term I'd use over invented, but this is a super petty hill to die on for both of you. You are the asshole. Why do you feel the need to correct him or stomp on something that makes him happy? You seem more childish than him because it bothers you so much. Gatekeeping like this is a waste of energy. Why does it matter so much to you? You are the asshole. You are the asshole. Have you ever had fun in your life? AITAH, it's not that serious. Let your friend have his moment. Honestly, let the man have his invention. Life's short. If calling it the Fisherman's Delight makes him happy, who's it hurting? Am I the asshole for keeping my distance from my MIL and laying down rules about her influence in my household? Am I the asshole for keeping my distance from my MIL and laying down rules? So I, 26F, call me Melissa, have been with my partner Garth for years. We're not married, but we live together and raise 4 kids, one together, one his, 2 mine. At the start I really tried with his mom Debbie. I'd suggest coffee, dinners, even helped with her little business. I actually wanted us to be close. But honestly things got messy. Like my stepdaughter Cindy was really sick with the flu at one point. She was struggling to breathe at night, so we said no dairy because it makes it worse. Debbie gave her milk behind my back anyway. I called her out and she just cried and turned it into, oh, I think I caused Garth's diabetes, face with rolling eyes. She does this all the time, the crying to avoid being wrong. I snapped and told her if she didn't stop crying I'd throw my tea on her. Not my proudest moment, but it worked. She's also a hoarder to the point that her house, her late parents' house, and even our garages and porch got filled with her stuff. When we asked her to move it, she cried about how we were pressuring her. She criticizes Garth constantly too. Like he used reward points to get some Pokemon cards and was happy about it. She told him he should have used it for a weed eater. I defended him and she stormed outside, hid in my garden for an hour. My kids Declan and Dylan were freaking out looking for her, and Garth's 90-years-old grandpa just sat awkwardly on the couch. She also makes digs like, you're just not the same when you're with these people, meaning me and the kids. And in her eyes, every single problem between her and Garth or her and the kids is somehow my fault. So now when she comes over, I just keep it polite but short. Pleasantries, maybe on my phone, but I don't start conversations. She's judgmental and a know-it-all, so I just keep my distance. Anyway, the other day she's at my house, leaving, and she says to Garth, loud enough for me to hear, any woman would be lucky to have you. That Melissa, she's just always so ugly to me. I got along with my ex-Dial way better. She apologized when we fought. Melissa never will. Later she messaged me saying I'm silent, disrespectful, that she feels unwelcome, and even basically said, if you don't want me in Garth's life, then so be it. I told her we could have coffee and talk it through sometime, but not that night, because I had the kids and a headache. At this point, I don't want Cindy sleeping over there anymore. If Debbie wants to see the kids, she can come here, but she has to actually be pleasant. I don't want her negativity or whatever pill stuff she has going on in my house. So, am I the asshole for setting these rules and pulling back instead of just playing nice? Not the asshole, but you don't stand a chance since your boyfriend lacks the ability to handle his mother. Until such time as he actually sees a problem and is willing to address it, you're fighting a losing battle. Why would you let your children spend the night at a hoarder's house? It can't be safe. Am I the asshole for setting these rules? How, exactly, are you proposing to set any rules when Garth can't stand up to her at all? I bet that XDIL had the same problem with her. Not the asshole, but has Garth tried to tell his mother to stop if defended you when she's talking crap about you? What did he say when she gave your daughter dairy? Because if not, then you have a husband problem. Not the asshole, but Garth is. He obviously does not have your back when it comes to mommy. When she said those things loud enough for you to hear, what did Garth say in defense of you? Did he tell her not to talk that way about you? You either need to lay the law down to Garth, or you're leaving with your children. It's not like you're married, so it will be easy to pick up and leave without lawyers involved. You may need to file for child support, though. Let mommy raise his if he likes her so much. You've done everything you can to protect yourself and kids from MIL. Good luck.